We are live. We couldn't resist it. Too much Jason Garrett. So we had to go live. Middle of the fourth quarter. This is the Sunday, November 26th edition of the PFF Forecast. A great show. We're going to debate who's the best team in the NFL. Chiefs, Eagles, Niners, Cowboys. Who is it? Are the Bills really dead, or did they show us something? Is Bill Belichick tanking? And we spare no expense. A 45-minute deep dive. Jason Garrett versus Tony Romo. Who is the single most cringe-worthy person to listen to while you are watching football? It's going to be a great show. Let's rock. Arjun wearing the cowboy hat. This is actually not an attempt at getting the Chargers to score points. This is a response to the Cowboys. Can you tell us the story of the hat?
Yeah, so I'm back home. I came back home for Thanksgiving break, and I randomly find this cowboy hat in my dad's office, and I was like, "Oh, this looks cool." So I said if the Cowboys covered the first half spread against the Commanders, that I would wear it, and thankfully they did. Dak led a masterful end of half drive, and then also it's paying tribute to our queen Dolly Parton, who probably had the best best Thanksgiving halftime performance of the three. So. Shout out Dolly, rocking the hat for her, and hopefully we pick some more winners tonight.
In fact, actually, because of your Dolly Parton tribute, Tony Romo's tuning in. He saw our tweet and had to come and get involved. Got excited. I don't know what was best about Thanksgiving because it certainly wasn't the football. I really do think it was Jim Nantz and Tony Romo trying to decide how much they love Dolly Parton in the booth. Because it was great. Because Romo, just to if anyone didn't remember this or didn't see this, Romo kind of called Nance out. He was like, "Hey Jim, you said Dolly was going to wear a Cowboys cheerleader outfit," and Jim was kind of like, "Listen, Tony, this was between you and I after 8 glasses of wine. You were not supposed to bring this up." And Tony didn't drop it. He refused to drop the ball. And Jim was like trying to get out of there. It was so good. That was probably my favorite part of the Thanksgiving games.
Certainly up there. Yeah, no, Jim was trying to do his like Augusta Masters good vibes, and Tony was just like, "Come on, Jim." Yeah, it was not a great day of football. I know you enjoyed your Niners beating the brakes off the Seahawks, but not yeah, it got better from there. Friday, I think my favorite sequence, we'll go there. What I'm thankful for. My favorite sequence of maybe the season was the Jets throwing the pick six on the Hail Mary to end the first half against the Dolphins. I think that was the funniest NFL play I've seen in like a couple of years.
Since the butt fumble, probably.
Probably.
The Hail Mary, which I think is aptly named.
I like it.
Yeah, that was very, very tough to watch. The only thing that made the Friday game watchable was that Judah put together an amazing parlay, 150-1 SGP, with Mostert, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, all having big days, and Breece Hall going under. And it was honestly very, very close. It wasn't for Jeff Wilson miraculously rising from the dead and Tyreek Hill catching like one more pass. It would have hit. So that made it enjoyable. That was fun. Nothing else about that game was enjoyable. But yes, that was funny. Let's actually get into it because you brought up the Niners. So who is the best team in the NFL? We've seen the Chiefs kind of hold this for a while, kind of because they have Mahomes. I kind of ranted earlier this week about how they don't look very good. I still don't think they look very good, and I'm happy to get into that. We have the Eagles, who pull off a really kind of impressive comeback win in overtime against the Bills. And then the Niners, who now that they're healthy, have started dominating once again. So I guess you could throw the Cowboys in there because they've beaten teams that, will pick in the top 5, and that's very important. Who is the best team in the NFL? Brad, we'll start with you.
Yeah, this is going to come across like, I'm doing the Mike Florio Monday update. Who won that week / what just happened in the game?
Justin
Who won
Tucker So Justin Tucker missed a field goal.
Oh no.
You know,
I'm gonna lose my full game spread in Argent at the first half, and I don't know why. I feel like I probably agreed with you when you said it last week. Anyway, what was I even saying? It's gonna sound like I'm doing the like who has the best record and who just won this past week thing, which I'm not, because I've frankly been trying to not say the Eagles all year, but I've just seen them win now every type of football game, that from behind, from ahead, in bad conditions, which I stood in today, and it was absolutely miserable. Or a script where they need to throw the ball a ton, run the ball a ton. The Chiefs game they should not have won. But when you say, hey, this team probably should not have won at Arrowhead against Patrick Mahomes and still did, like, yeah, it's fluky to a degree. Like, it wasn't a resounding victory. Hurts kind of finished it off late, was terrible, frankly, the first 3 quarters of the game, and made plays to Devontae Smith to close that out. I still am not sure we've seen their best game. They were good today. And they're not, and they're what, 10-1 and like comfortably ahead of everybody else. They beat the Chiefs, the Bills, the Cowboys, the Dolphins pretty convincingly. Like, I just think it's Philly. Hurts is not 100% healthy, but he's healthy enough to do what he's been doing. Probably shouldn't be the MVP frontrunner, frankly, but he's been very good.
Yeah, I can understand the case for Philly. I think I struggle with their defense a little bit. As much as I'd love to be a Sean Desai fan and praise him with all types of praises, I can't admit that defense has had its problems. Now this game, Fletcher Cox gets injured, Jalen Carter leaves for a couple snaps. Like the secondary's been banged up for part of the year, but still, at its heart, this is kind of a below average pass defense, and I don't think that's something the Niners are. I think the Niners have a pretty good defense, and now they traded for Chase Young, and I think they've been firing on all cylinders. And not that the Seahawks offense was playing well before the 49ers game, but I thought, did a pretty good job of slowing everything down. So I think when you combine that with the Niners having like a top 3 offense when everyone's healthy, I think that makes them the best team in the league. Just that combination of a top 3 offense with a probably top 5 defense when healthy. Whereas Philly, I think it's not all noise that they've made all these second half comebacks, but to make all the second half comebacks, you have to struggle offensively and you have to be bad defensively. And I think that will catch up to them at some point against the better NFC teams. And we could see them struggle against Dallas in their next divisional game, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Mahomes is the best quarterback out of this group. We just saw him match up against the Eagles. I would not, and I certainly do not, put too much weight into beating Aiden O'Connell in Las Vegas. I think was the first I finally saw Travis Kelce separate on an actual route this year. But he still looks like he's like dragging a sled behind him when he runs. It's tough, kind of tough to watch. Now, I think they can get it together, but right now they're not the best team in the NFL. The Eagles, I agree with you, Arjun. I think the thing that worries me about the Eagles is their secondary is tough, but also I just do not think Jalen Hurts is healthy. Now, he has played very, very well. I don't think he played nearly as well as Allen did today, but did make some really big plays. I just think that the Bills, especially defensively, they're not going to take advantage of how hurt I think Hurts was. So I don't want to read too much into that game. When healthy, the Niners are the best team in the NFL. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see. And as we're going to guess the spreads here in a second, the Niners go to Philly this week. Now they have a little bit of a rest advantage, so we do need to take that into account when we look at this spread. And certainly, we did when we guessed it. But what I'm saying is that I think this spread should be certainly less than 2.5 in favor of the Eagles. Meaning that the Niners are the better team, and I think the Eagles clearly show that they're better than the Chiefs, at least right now. Maybe not clearly, but I think better than. So I would go in that order. I would go Niners, Eagles, Chiefs. So I guess the odd man out are the Chiefs. Where would you guys put the 2 teams after your number 1?
I think that is the top 3. I think until further notice, it's kind of a clear top 3. I like Dallas. I've been high on them all year. Losing Mark Andrews has kind of made Baltimore's offense look a bit shaky since then. I don't know, like Detroit came back down to earth. Like I don't even know who else would really be in the conversation with those. I'm probably
Baltimore.
higher on Jacksonville than anyone else in this pod, and they're not in that camp for me at all. So yeah, the only thing with the Niners, it's very simplistic or very minimalist, whatever word I'm trying to say, but it's just I got to see Brock Purdy do it from behind in a game. But that's the only question mark. Is the defense was a concern for me, and we saw the 2021-2022 Niners defense on Turkey Day.
Easy there, Romo. Trying to see Brock Purdy do it from behind.
Dolly Parton.
Dolly, who are your second and third best teams in the NFL?
Yeah, I would put the Chiefs at 2. Pat's still the best quarterback. Chiefs have a top 6-7 defense. They started off really slow today, and then they really just turned it around. I don't think Raiders got anything going for the rest of the game. And yeah, I mean, I think we talked in our group chat can we live bet the Chiefs this year, knowing they really haven't figured it out, but they kind of did. 31 points, went on a 31-3 run. I think they figured out that they shouldn't throw the ball to anyone except Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, and Isaiah Pacheco out of the backfield, which worked today. Might not work against good defenses, but it worked against mediocre competition. So I would go Chiefs at 2, and then I think Eagles at 3, and I don't really think there's another team that should be in that tier.
Yeah, clearly a top tier there. I mean, I think the next tier is really interesting. You've got you've got the Ravens there. You've got the Jags, who somehow are 8-3. You've got the Lions, of course. But let's talk about the Bills here for a second, because I want to ask you guys this question. Did you become more or less positive on the future of the Bills after today's game, Brad?
I think they're literally the exact same. I've never lost faith in their offense at any point, and I didn't gain a ton of respect because I don't think the Eagles defense is that good. And then the Bills defense is not good. Like, they have not been good pretty much the entire season. And they showed up in the first half. They made some plays against their Eagles' old pal, Rasul Douglas. But yeah, they're the same team to me. They're a good, ninth team in the AFC at 6-6. But I didn't really learn anything new about Buffalo today, personally.
What about you, Arjun?
Yeah, no, I would agree with Brad. I think the Bills offense doing well against the Eagles defense, we shouldn't overreact too much because the Eagles defense isn't that good. And Josh Allen had the typical Josh Allen game. We saw the Superman moments, him running for some crazy touchdowns, throwing some crazy sideline throws. And then we had the bozo interception play that he typically does. And that let the Eagles right back in the game, gave them a short field, and they scored 3 plays later. So, yeah, their defense has been kind of overrated for a while now, whether it's been Leslie Frazier calling plays or Sean McDermott. Eagles looked so bad offensively in the first half and then put up, I think, 30 plus in the second half. So that's definitely something to take note of. I think in the short-term future, I'm not too worried, but I think in the long term, this is a team that has a lot of major underlying issues with their roster construction and kind of their players at important positions that I don't think people talk about enough, that I think could be an issue in years to come.
So this will be surprising, maybe, to some. I am significantly, maybe a little strong, but I am much more bullish on the Bills after today's game. Now, I realize that they are 6-6. Okay, but let's take stock of the AFC. The AFC stinks. I can't believe I'm saying this. The AFC is not very good. You've got the Jaguars and the Chiefs at the top, with the Dolphins and the Ravens. Ravens struggling to beat the Chargers right now. You've got the Jaguars, who I think you hardly know who they are on any given day. I think they're a decent team. They also like to throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage to running backs on 3rd and longs, despite having Trevor Lawrence. The Miami Dolphins can't beat a decent team on the road. You then have the Pittsburgh Steelers at 7-4, Cleveland Browns at 7-4, and the Indianapolis Colts right now are in the 7th spot at 6-5. The Bills just need to get into the dance, okay? The Bills can beat any of the other teams in the AFC. If the Bills get into the 7th seed, now here's what I took away from today. Yes, their defense is not great. Yes, the Eagles didn't have Lane Johnson, and that made their pass rush look a little bit better. But Josh Allen, to me today, looked clearly healthy, I thought, maybe for the first time against a real opponent. The way that he ran the ball, And then the other thing that I think should be noted, yes, Jalen Hurts made some big plays. I thought Josh Allen looked considerably more comfortable playing in that game and those elements than Hurts did. Now, this is not taking away anything from Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has been amazing. But in the playoffs, let's consider the potential to be playing in those inclement elements. Yes, Patrick Mahomes obviously going to be comfortable, but I think it just speaks to what the Bills can do in any situation. It would not surprise me. I think the Bills are going to make it to the playoffs. They're going to squeak in because the AFC stinks. And it would not shock me at all to see them make a deep run. Because of how poorly the AFC has played, this is the weakest, in my opinion, the Chiefs' offense has been since we've seen Patrick Mahomes. And if you're really worried about the Dolphins and the Jags and the Ravens, like, yes, they're good teams. They will be favored at home against the Bills. But Josh Allen will be the better quarterback in every single one of those matchups. So I actually am more bullish on the Bills today.
A lot of the teams you mentioned too have we talked Mark Andrews, but Jalen Phillips, our guy. I think I didn't see the update, but I assume out for the season with the torn Achilles. Like there's been attrition across the board for every team. Obviously, Buffalo was kind of at the front, the forefront of that early on in the year, but pretty much the entire AFC. And then, yeah, like you said, like the Chiefs, I guess, are pretty healthy, but Travis Kelce is the only pass catcher on the team, and I think we are finally seeing age/T Swift catch up to him a little bit at this point. So I don't disagree with the take at all. Also, Shane Steichen, Coach of the Year.
Indianapolis Colts being 6-5 and in the playoffs right now after losing their quarterback who they drafted in the top 10, 2.5 weeks into the season? Yeah, is super, super impressive. I mean, obviously the Texans, the fact that they have the same record as the Texans, yet the Texans have had maybe the 3 best rookies in the NFL this year. like Tank Dell, CJ Stroud, and Will Anderson are all absolutely hitting. They have an offensive, coordinator and offense that people are drooling over, and they have the same record as the Colts. Is absolutely astounding.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely incredible. Let's talk last topic before we guess the lines here. Bill Belichick. Is Bill Belichick tanking? Is he executing the tank? They right now hold the number 2 overall pick. The number 1 overall pick, Brad, is in your hands thanks to the Carolina Panthers being absolutely terrible. But the Patriots are hot on their heels and right now stand in a position to get either Drake May or Caleb Williams. Is this a well-executed Bill Belichick tank?
I think it is. I'll be honest. Like you hire Bill O'Brien, you can't going into after a bye figure out a way to score against Wink Martindale's Giants defense without Dexter Lawrence on the football field, and you can't score. I mean, like McCorkle was throwing mallards all over the pitch before he got benched, but there's no way they're that bad. Like he had the 1 3rd and 15 conversion to Devontae Parker. That was like a decent throw, kind of between a tight window. But it just, I don't know. I think he is. I think he's all right. Look, either I'm going to get Drake May in New England or they're going to trade me somewhere else and whatever. There's no way that they're this bad. It's just, today was unconscionable.
I think so. Like, I think if Bill wasn't tanking, Zappe would have gone in the game after that first interception. Where I think the first interception was the one where he like overthrew the corner route, and that was terrible. Like it was double covered, and he just completely overthrew it. And I'm like, okay, there's no way he stays in. He throws an even worse one. He looks like Derek Carr, but even worse because he just throws it right at the defender. Because at least Derek Carr, like against an all-out blitz, like he'll throw it in the ground. Like Mac threw it straight to Okereke, and so he left him in for the entire first half. If he was if he wasn't tanking and if he was actually trying to win, I think Zappe would have came in earlier. Plus, I think they threw the ball like a little too much with Mac. And I think like they've had success running the ball the past couple of weeks and they, should have stuck with it. So yeah, I think they are tanking. They know the end game. Chad Ryland knows the end game. Everyone's locked in for the most part. I think it's a well-executed tank by the whole squad.
That's the last question. Was that actually their best draft pick of the year? Was Chad Ryland sneakily the best draft pick they made at 112 overall to be a below replacement level kicker?
I don't think he's – so if you believe he's tanking, then that means you believe he and Kraft have a deal for him to come back as the starter. Is that what you guys think? You think he's
As
back?
the head coach, me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he got the extension before the season, and maybe the conversation was like, look, if it starts off well, ride it out. But look, they saw the whole division. It was an arms race. The Bills, the Dolphins, the Jets all went all in. They say, look, you know what? Let them all have their fun. I hate the Jets situation with Rodgers going forward in a couple years. Miami, no one's talking about it, is going to have a very fascinating offseason with a dozen guys that need to get re-signed or they got to figure something out there. And the Bills are obviously crumbling before our eyes. So it's not the craziest theory in the world.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see him come back, I guess. It just doesn't, for all the things that we know about Bill Belichick, him executing a tank does not seem to fit the pattern. Like, if he were executing a tank, I would also have expected him to be very woke on fourth downs, for example, right? Like, I would have expected him to be more, I guess, mathematically efficient in other areas, for him to recognize this. Because here's the thing, like, is Kraft saying, yeah, we're going to tank, Bill, you get to stay if you tank? There's no real like GM there, right? It's just Bill Belichick. I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine that he's tanking. I think it's more likely that, look, their team just really stinks, and Belichick is a great coach who had a very, very great quarterback, and it's, the shine is going to come off, when he doesn't have any good players. Like, he's not an offensive wizard. A defense is a weak link system. It's not going to do very well when your offense is complete trash. So, like, you're seeing the ramifications of that, in my opinion. I think.
Go ahead.
No, it's all you.
It's the least talented roster in the NFL. Like, I'm not even debating that. It is the worst, including the Carolina Panthers, including the Arizona Cardinals. I think it is the least talented roster in the league. I just think Bill could have squeezed a couple more out of it if he really wanted to.
Yeah, that's probably fair. All right. The Baltimore Ravens have beaten the Los Angeles Clippers 20-10. Mercifully, Justin Tucker's missed field goal did not cost me a fantasy matchup. I know everyone very much cared about that. We are going to get to guessing the lines in just 1 second. Before we do, reminder that this podcast is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, which I said I was going to try out this week. I did. My humble opinion on Prize Picks: incredibly easy to use. The app is very well built. It's so 100% A+ on that. You can't do like traditional same game parlays, but that's because it's daily fantasy. But you can get like 80 to 90% of the way there. So highly recommend it. You get a great deal. You get $100 deposit match. I got it. I can attest to this with promo code PFF. Go to prizepicks.com/forecast. I should say the promo code is actually forecast. And you can get $100 deposit match when you deposit at Prize Picks. And then you can go, you can combine different sports together. So you can do basketball and football, or you can do all one sport. And it's very, very simple. You compile a set of 2 or more players, and then you choose more or less. And then you can kind of choose your option for payoff. So you can either choose an option where you have to hit all of them, and then you get a payback of up to like 10x. I think you actually get all the way up to 20x. Or you can have what they call, I think it's like a power play, where you can hit like 3 out of 4 and still get a payoff back. So definitely highly recommend it. It is prizepicks.com/forecast. Also, our friends at Gerber Life are making it easy for you, if you are a parent, to get your family protected. You don't want to have to worry about all the things that could happen. You want to focus on the good stuff. So go to Fabric by Gerber Life, and they give you a one-stop shop for high-quality term life insurance, plus other financial solutions in one easy online hub. It's super, super easy. You go to MEET fabric.com/forecast, and there you can take 10 minutes to get a high-quality term life insurance policy. You don't have to talk to anybody. You can do it all online. Get your family covered. Get yourself feeling good and ready to focus on the positive side of life. All right. We are on to week 13. My God.
Week 13. Did the Chargers just kill Arjun once and for all? Is that what happened? Oh, he's back.
Sorry guys. I had to go and take a shot. after that game, so I didn't want to take it on the pod, so I just moved setup and.
I'm
But
happy
I'm
for
ready.
you.
I'm ready. Time to make some
I'm
money.
happy for you. That was smart. That was smart. Yeah, week 13, George. It's fucked
It
up.
is week 13. All right. The first game, week 13, Thursday night, Seattle goes to Big D to play the Dallas Cowboys. Brad, why don't you kick us off?
Cowboys -8.
Went Cowboys -9.
All right. Where the hell are this is exactly what people tune in for. I had the Cowboys -8.5. All right. What is it here? We have 7. No, it's not right.
7.5.
7.5. I see. Yeah. That's surprising.
Yeah, 7 at DraftKings. I'm betting that as we speak.
Yeah, wow. Okay, I see an 8 at Bookmaker, 8 at Circa, 7 at DraftKings, 7.5 at FanDuel. Let's call it 7.5 here as I get myself figured out. So 7.5. Brad, you had it 8. I had it 8.5. Arjun had it 9. Brad, what are you doing with this one?
Yeah.
Wait, real quick,
I
George,
I literally did just place a bet on Cowboys -7 on DraftKings.
Can you share the spreadsheet?
Oh, go ahead.
Can we share the spreadsheet? Because I think someone's talking about it.
Yeah. I'm doing it right now.
Also, I updated my record. Arjun, I don't know if you updated your full record. You just added the week.
Yeah,
Arjun, I think probably by percentage now is in the lead. I don't know if we go by how you should do it. I think Arjun's the new victor that we're all chasing.
Yes, I'm going to update that in a second. We'll show it at the end. Here we go.
Anywho, let's see here. But anyway. So Seattle, our dear Seahawks, who are going to be 6-3, and I'm like not going to cash my over 8.5s somehow, some way. They just like DK sucked in the Thanksgiving game. Geno, I think, was relatively healthy, probably not 100% or even really close to it, but obviously was able to go on a short week. They're just the offensive line's been a nightmare. You got Jason Peters at 42 getting starts at right tackle, and he's been fine, but I'll do it. I'll ride with the Cowboys. I wish it was 7, but anyway, go Dallas.
I think I'm gonna just I feel like we're approaching like Philly first half wagon with the Cowboys. So Cowboys at home again. I'm just gonna take them first half. I think the line will be probably -5, -5.5. I'd take it up to -5.5, -110. So I'm gonna just take their first half again.
I'm gonna go teaser. I'm changing it. Go ahead, George.
Tease them. I like the teaser. I like the first half bet quite a bit, so I'm going to join you on that. Full game does worry me a little bit, although I've said this before and I will say it again. I think that the teams that match up poorly with the Niners also match up poorly with the Cowboys. Exactly. There's a lot of similarities there. I'm a little worried about Geno. Now I think the tough thing with the Cowboys is they just haven't played a real team in, like 24 days. So this could be a potential shock to the system. That said, I just, I think that this is a really good matchup for the Cowboys. So I will roll with Dallas in the first half.
George, Friday morning get up. If Dak Prescott has a big game, Friday morning get up is going to be a movie.
Oh my goodness. It's going to be, let me actually tell you that tomorrow, despite the fact that the Eagles won potentially the biggest game in the NFL this year, and maybe the 2 biggest games in back-to-back weeks, Get Up will open tomorrow with a solid hour, a straight hour of Cowboys talk. So prepare yourselves. I'm getting to bed early tonight just so that I can be ready for Mike Greenberg to talk about Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys with 3 former NFL players you've never heard of for 4 straight hours. It is going to be absolutely electric.
A new segment we should do, George, real quick. I did it for tonight's show. Is guess the segment of a Get Up, and so mine is going to be the ticker. If someone sent a screenshot, there's going to be a ticker over the last 5 weeks. Dak has 17 touchdown passes. Dakota Rain 17. Next highest quarterback has 10. He's been killing it. So I'm putting a bet in that will be a ticker during Get Up tomorrow morning.
Okay. The headline, you know how they put those pithy headlines? It's going to be MVP, and then the P is just going to say Prescott.
Love that.
Okay? That's what it's going to be, and we're going to spend a solid hour on that. Now, in fairness, Dak Prescott has played really freaking well. He has 5 games, I believe, with a 90 PFF grade. The only quarterback to do that. He had the highest graded game that we have graded. Now, it was against complete disaster of an opponent, but that does not matter. You still have to make the throws, and he absolutely has. Now, a full hour of Get Up, I think we need to cool our jets a little bit, but you can tune into that tomorrow on ESPN. Denver at Houston. Brad.
Texans minus 4.5.
You're on mute.
Oh, no, you don't hear me?
I'm on mute. My bad.
Oh.
I went Texans minus 3.5. Sorry, guys.
I had the Houston football Texans by 4.5 as well, Brad. And let's see here. We've got Texans by 3. Wow.
That's a bet. That's a yes.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to get on board. Okay. Do we need to talk to the people about the Denver Broncos, because they have won a considerable number of games in a row. They again today had, I think, was it at least one fumble recovery on a run that brings it to 4 in their last 3 games. They played obviously the Browns this week, and they got a little bit of PJ Walker as well. Their offense has actually somehow become less efficient in their win streak than it was when they were losing games. So I don't know. That's my analysis, Brad.
Yeah, no, the Broncos recovered 2 Browns fumbles today, although they actually 3, I think it was. 3. Although they did have a fumble of their own. But yeah, so a ton of turnover luck, particularly fumble recovery luck, which is like one of the more particularly regression prone numbers, but also again, like their yards per play, all those things. I'm not going to downgrade a win over the Browns. We tease the Browns. I like the Browns this matchup. Like, yeah, I could say they beat Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Like, I won't say that. It's a fine win. I just think this entire stretch of 5 games has been super fluky. You're getting Houston off of a loss, but a pretty good loss. Our guy Tank Dell should have had 150 receiving yards. Just not being across the number is kind of crazy to me. I don't like this matchup for Russell Wilson now. I think you're getting some really good play from Will Anderson and Jonathan Gennard off the edge. The Texans finally have like a legit pass rush now, it seems, which will cause problems. Derek Stingley, I think, looked better, getting back from health. So, yeah, I mean, I love that play.
Yeah, I mean, the Broncos are not going to keep forcing turnovers at this rate. I think it stops here. Timo had this graph like 2 weeks ago, which was like looking at like total points lost because of turnovers, and the Texans 3 weeks ago ranked like 4th on offense. So like they weren't, turning the ball over, giving opposing teams good field position or whatnot. CJ Stroud, obviously one of the better quarterbacks at taking care of the ball. So, I think the Texans or the Broncos like turnover like stops there. And yeah, I mean, I haven't been like too impressed with the Broncos. Like we knew coming into the season they were going to be a run heavy team. Like in their 5-game win streak, Russell Wilson's thrown for over 200 yards just one time. He has been efficient. He hasn't been taking sacks. Give credit to him for that. But this is a ground and pound team at their heart. And I think to beat the Texans, you need to throw the ball like Trevor Lawrence did. I think he threw for over 300 yards today, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think Russell has that in his arsenal anymore. I don't think he has the ability to throw for 300 yards in a competitive game. And obviously Sean Payton doesn't trust him enough to do that. So yeah, I really like the Texans in this spot.
Yeah, it's interesting. I thought that the Texans today, it's becoming kind of a common theme. I feel like they left 1 to 2 touchdowns on the board today. Like you could have said the same thing against Cincinnati. So yeah, I think this is finally the opportunity to take advantage of the Denver Broncos not being as good as their record. By the way, I talk about Get Up a lot. Sunday NFL Countdown did an incredible segment today about the Denver Broncos. And the thing that I heard over and over and over again was, look, guys, if they can keep turning the ball over and not turning their opponents over and not turning the ball over, they're a playoff team. So that, I mean, I just have to put it out there. If they continue to win the turnover battle by like 15, they're a playoff team.
I bet you could guess, just based on watching TV as a kid, George, what is the percentage, if you win the turnover battle, what percentage are you likely to win that game?
I mean, I don't know the exact number, but what is it? It's got to be like 70, 65%.
They always say 80 on TV, and that could just be a made-up stat that like coaches agreed to say. But I feel like I've heard that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like I've heard that like 1,000 times as a kid. That's something that like who would say? Like Rex Ryan would say that in studio. You'd get one of those guys. Would give you that in studio.
Yeah, 100%. So we don't have to get into this right now. Let's get on to the next game, which is, if I can find this here, Chargers and Patriots.
I got, even after what we just watched, Chargers the Patriots plus 6.5.
I went Chargers +4. Or Chargers -4. Chargers -4.
That wouldn't surprise me. I went 3.5. I guess I don't think they're tanking. This is 5.5 on DraftKings. 4.5 trending 5 on FanDuel. Why don't we split the difference and call it 5? I guess Brad, you're over there. I cannot bring myself to bet this after what I just saw. I don't think that Bill Belichick is tanking. That's why I can't bet it.
Arjun, doesn't Brandon Staley have a couple depressing losses to Bill Belichick over the last couple of years?
Yeah, he lost in 2021 at home. That was about
right.
Say it again.
They got like demolished in that game, right? Or was that last year?
No, that was the Anthony Lynn administration.
Gosh. Sure.
In 2021, he lost because I think Herbert threw a pick 6 in the fourth quarter. But yeah, I mean, Chargers shouldn't be laying 5 to anyone really on the road. But you will not convince me to bet on Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi. So I'm just gonna lay off. I'm just gonna enjoy whichever coach loses this game should probably be let go after the game, especially if it is Brandon Staley. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, agreed. I'm staying away.
Yeah. I'm, as I said, staying away as well. All right. Arjun's favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Arjun, what's your record betting on the Saints this year?
I should have gone back and checked. I think I'm legit like 0-4 or 0-5. Every time I bet on them, like it's just like it's not even fun to watch. Like I think I bet on them in the Packers game. They blew that lead. Bet on them this week. Which other losses have been really bad for them that you guys remember?
Saints. The Packers loss was all-time bad.
Yeah. Look at their schedule. I'll remember. Because like if you think about it, every single one of their games, like the spread is within 3, I think.
Yes.
So
yes.
yeah. So okay. So I bet on them in the Vikings game. That was just that was bullshit. Bet on them against Todd Bowles because I thought Dennis Allen might actually be a better head coach than him, and that didn't work out. So yeah, I don't even want to get into it. I'm just gonna like whatever my number is, even if I'm off market, I'm either fading them or I'm not betting them. So
there you go. Detroit goes to New Orleans. Brad?
Saints +4.
I went Saints +5.
I had the Saints plus, where am I here? 4.5. And it is 3.5. It appears to be. Now, it's interesting. I had this. It's funny. I had this at 3.5. It's my initial guess. And I changed this after watching the New Orleans Saints play football today by an entire point, which tells you how that game went. And also, Olave got banged up. I'm assuming he'll be good enough to come back and play, but if they don't have Olave, I'm very concerned.
Arjun, you messaged the chat. Wasn't it like 6 different dudes?
Yeah, Olave with concussion. Shaheed was with a leg injury. Michael Thomas is on IR. And then like Juwan got banged up a little bit. I think he might have come back in though. So yeah, top 3 receivers are basically all out. So we're left with like Wake Forest legend A.T. Perry and others that Taysom Hill.
Yeah, Taysom Hill. Marshawn Lattimore, I think, is on IR now too, isn't he?
Yeah, that's why Drake London went off this game. He had like 90 plus yards.
Yeah. 3.5. Lions get that.
I
The
like
Saints had the bye, but rest advantage. Yeah, are you doing it, Arjun? You're betting you're fading the Saints. Well, now the Saints are a lock.
Yeah, they probably are, but I mean, we're getting dome Goff, like Ben
Yep.
Johnson versus Dennis Allen. Like the Saints defense has also been like pretty shitty the last couple of weeks. Falcons ran all over them today. I mean, Bijan had 91, Algier at 64. As a whole, they averaged 0.06 EPA per rush, 0.07 on early downs. Like the Saints can do shit against the Falcons, and yeah, Lions. 3 more days of rest compared to the Saints. They're gonna, I think, should have an easy day running all over them, and yeah, the Saints offense is a joke. So
Yep, I'm with you there.
Yeah, I'm on the same wavelength. This one scares me though. There's something about Goff right now that very much worries me, but I would hope that over the break Ben Johnson kind of gets it figured out. But I think this is too small of a spread given the kind of the talent disparity. Now the rest should be baked in. I am surprised that given those injuries, it is still the way it is. By the way, someone in the chat, we talked about Houston already, and they said to mention the refs in Texans Jags. That was an absolute privilege of a referee performance. Now, I thought there were a few. I thought that Philly and Buffalo was also quite a journey. So you could make a case for both of those being the worst of the two. But yes, that was truly delightful. All right. We are on to Arizona and Pittsburgh. Will Arizona try to use their running quarterback to run? We will find out. Brad, would you make this?
-4.5.
I went -6.
That's probably what it should be. I went 4.5 as well. Wow. It is 6.
It's a bullseye for Arjun. Wow.
And I'm not betting on Arizona. So, okay. I am curious. What do we make of the fact that Kyler Murray, who's one of the 3 to 5 most athletic quarterbacks in the NFL, is running about as much as like 40-year-old Ben Roethlisberger?
Well, I mean, he scrambles, but you're saying like no element.
Today.
He
didn't do squadoosh. He dropped back, waited for. It looked like Cliff Kingsbury came back to coach. I mean, like no one was ever open. He threw the same passes to contested receivers, doing nothing creative all game, and did not scramble, did not have signed runs, nothing against a Rams defense that like you would think you would try to avoid dropping back and letting Aaron Donald get to you.
It's because Monty Ossenfort worked for the Patriots and he caught wind of Bill Belichick tanking. So that's more evidence in my conspiracy holster. I'm going to do it. I'll do it. I'll take the Cardinals.
Wow. I love it.
I mean, this Steelers offense laying 6 points against anyone is, I mean, they laid 6 points against Jake Browning today, or they won by 6 against Jake Browning today in a nice comeback fashion. Deontay Johnson didn't feel like playing Jalen Warren's fumble. I think things are ugly in Pittsburgh right
now. Yeah, I'm gonna lay off. I mean, I'm not good. I don't want to bet on Kenny Pickett getting 6. But yeah, the Cardinals defense is an atrocity. They just don't have any talent. And like, yeah, I mean, I was like somewhat impressed by the Steelers offense. Like they were actually throwing over the middle. Like Pat Freiermuth is actually a difference maker. He had like 120 plus yards, which the Bengals suck versus tight ends, but that was a big development that Kenny Pickett can actually throw over the middle instead of 50-50 balls all game. So yeah, I was a little bit impressed, and I think their run game has been sneakily underrated the past couple of weeks. Like they've been running the ball really well, even if it's been with Najee Harris and not Jalen Warren, or it could be a mix of both.
Yeah. I really want to do it. Really want. This feels like the only game that I won last week, I think, was the Tommy DeVito that I just took because my number was lower. Putting Kyler Murray and Tommy DeVito in the same sentence means that I'm going to bet on Kyler Murray. Because when you're in that class of quarterback, you're a winner. That's what Tommy DeVito is. The Get Up should do it. And if Tommy DeVito were playing for like, I'm trying to think about this, but like Tommy DeVito, I feel like has played well enough to deserve some kind of, some kind of shout from Get Up about his performance. Is he the future in New York? That's what I want to know. Atlanta and New York Jets, not Giants. Brad?
Jets plus 1.5.
I went Jets plus 2.5.
I made this a picker. And it is Jets plus 2.5.
Your NFC South division leading Atlanta Falcons heading up to New York. These teams are both no bet, no thoughts, no comments. I got nothing.
You weren't impressed with Desmond Ridder today?
He actually had one nice throw. It was an interception of Tyrann Mathieu at the goal line. It was a nice little dart.
He made a nice throw to Bijan.
He did on that touchdown. Yeah, he did.
Yeah. You doing anything with this, Sergeant?
No, I'm gonna stay away.
Yeah, so am I. I was for a second thinking about a teaser leg, but then I remembered it's Tim Boyle. And we're on to Tennessee. Colts and Titans.
Titans plus 2.5.
I went Colts minus 3.
I have where the hell is this game? 2.5.
What's weird with them is like we like the Colts. We take them a bunch of weeks, and I look back. I never actually give them any credit when I do guess the spread, but then we end up betting them a bunch. Last week we all loved them. I think Judah loved them too.
Yeah,
I couldn't get to full 3 like Arjun. I wanted to talk myself into it because Titans beat the Panthers today, but it wasn't particularly impressive. Levis had a nice drive. It was the end of the first half to get a field goal, but they didn't look particularly good. I don't know. I just don't know if I can talk myself into Colts here, but I want to. Someone can talk me into Colts if they like it.
Yeah, I need to pull up the numbers from the last time these guys. Okay. I am gonna bet on the Colts here. I think we've talked about the Shane Steichen offense. I mean, he really varies his offense week to week. I think they do rely a decent amount on running the ball, which you don't really want to do against the Titans, even if their rushing defense numbers have kind of fallen off a little bit. But I haven't been really impressed with Will Levis since that first game. Today he's probably going to finish with a mid 65 overall grade. I think the Colts defense is actually playing somewhat okay. I think they got bailed out a couple times by Buccaneer drops, but this is really just betting on the coaching staff of the Colts, which I think have done a really good job this year. I know this is probably not a great reason to bet the Colts, but I mean, Minshew was also pretty efficient when he stepped in last time. The Colts averaged a 0.09 EPA per rush overall against the Titans. A lot of that was explosive plays, the last time they played. And that was, I think, Jonathan Taylor's second or third game back. But overall, I think the Colts coaching staff is better. I think they have the better quarterback, weird as that sounds, and the better offense overall. So I think I like the Colts in this spot.
I can get behind it. I'm staying away from this one. I don't know. I just don't. It's tough. I agree with you, Brad. I think that sentiment is correct. I think this is a not great matchup for the Colts just because of how strong the Titans' run defense is. I mean, if the Titans can't block anybody, right? So that's a challenge.
It is, but the Colts pass rush has some fun guys that can get home if the quarterback holds the ball too long, which I guess Levis can be at times, but they don't have guys that win one-on-one. Like Buckner can, but like Kwity Paye and Deo Dengbo and like your guy Samson Ebukam, like they're all like good platoon players, but they're not guys that get home in 2.5 seconds or less. I just don't know if it makes I don't know if it's a good matchup.
Yeah, we need to bring back Troy Aikman trying to pronounce Samson Ebukam's name on Thursday Night Football, whatever that was. Miami and Washington.
I had the Commies plus 9.5.
I think Commies plus 9.
I have the Commies plus 8. I tried to make this closer to 7, and I could not. It is 9. Am I doing it again? I loved the Commanders. It was my favorite spread bet of the entire week. They hung tough for a little while, and then the wheels just completely came off. Their defense was non-existent. This was in Dallas. Obviously, this will be at home. But I cannot bring myself to bet on the Washington Commanders again after seeing that offense. It would worry me, obviously, playing against a Miami Dolphins team that should be able to do the same thing to the Commanders. Now, that being said, no Jalen Phillips. That very much hurts, I think, the pass rush. But I'm staying away from the Commies until further notice.
Yeah, there was a real dust up in Dallas on Thanksgiving, and so there will be the post JDR bump, which maybe is meaningful in Washington. It was George. I loved it with you. I wrote it with you. They did honestly play decently the first 3 quarters, whatever, 2.5 quarters, and then it just absolutely crumbled. The Cowboys were living in the Salvation Army bucket. The Dolphins, it's not only Jalen Phillips, but Tyreek got banged up again. Eventually that might matter. He keeps coming back and playing, but he did get dinged up in this game. Yeah, I don't know. I'm staying away.
I want to do it so badly.
I know, me too.
So badly want to do it.
Me too.
Oh, man. I think I'm kind of – Arjun, why don't you give your take, and then I'll decide.
I think with the Commanders, like you want to back them in games where you think their offensive line can hold up, which I think there is a case to be made in this game that they could do that because Dolphins don't have Jalen Phillips. And I think Commanders also are the Dolphins kind of a zone heavy team under Vic Fangio. So I think Howell, has been better against zone than man. I could be completely wrong about that, but he has carved up like similar Fangio type teams, right? He's, done very well against the Eagles. Sean Desai, Vic Fangio disciple. So like when we talk about like similar defenses, I think he's performed well against a Fangio style defense. I have no faith in the Commanders' G5 secondary to hold up against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Maybe the play, if you really think the Commanders are going to move the ball, is the over, but it's already at 49.5. So that's one thing I would consider. I don't feel confident in the Commanders' offense, and I sure as hell don't feel confident in that G5 defense. So I think the over would be the only lean I have, but otherwise I'm staying away.
It's an insult to Toledo.
That's hurtful. I'm doing it. You convinced me with the similar defense thing. That's all I needed. Sam Howell bounce back week. Fire up the SGP builds. Let's go. Carolina, Tampa Bay.
Bucks minus 5.5.
I went Bucks minus 5.
I love the Bucks. Went Bucks by 6.5. It is 6. Anyone doing anything with this?
Not watching it. Is Kyle Trask? Yeah, because I saw. So the comment here: Trask came in. They had a first and goal from the half-inch line and kicked the field goal. I didn't see the actual sequence, but it was Trask, so I imagine he didn't do a whole lot of good. No. Is him playing over Baker? I'll say this. I'll be honest. Like I was anti-Baker to start the year, kind of making fun of him. That is a downgrade. Like that is to me not good. Baker's been solid. He's been fine. So if it is Trask, I think it's a problem.
Yeah, but Baker came back and played.
Okay, so this guy, I don't know. We got our guy Mojal here saying anyway.
I mean, maybe Baker can't play in this game. That's definitely a possibility. But
Is Kyle Trask a better quarterback than Bryce Young? And the answer is yes.
They probably played head to head. I guess not. Different.
Bryce
know-
Young, like the Panthers have covered once this entire year. Like it is so like we're talking about not meeting expectations. Like Bryce Young cannot meet expectations at all. Like it is an atrocity to watch. But yeah, I'm probably going too far with the Kyle Trask thing. But
I will say a quick note on that. I think, misevaluated the Colts last year with Frank Reich, who clearly the game has passed him by. We've learned that in Carolina now. I think we all like, the Colts roster all of a sudden sucks now after being like good at a lot of spots. Like, no, I think the coaching staff sucked. And I was wrong on that. I thought the Carolina hire was awesome. I was excited for Bryce Young. That offense sucks. Frank Reich's done. Yeah, kind of an interesting swing for those two. And they both took quarterbacks. But yeah, pray for Bryce.
Dave Tepper, considering all of his options, including actually hiring someone to run his team. It's all on the table. Will that actually happen? Probably not, but we'll see. The S3, S2, whatever it is. It's amazing what snake oil salesmen can do in the year 2023. It honestly is impressive. We are on to Cleveland and Los Angeles. This one is in Los Angeles. Brad.
Rams -3.5.
I went Rams -4.
I went Rams by 3. I didn't even feel that great about it, to be perfectly honest with you. Now, here's the thing. What do we think about Myles Garrett?
Had
Yeah,
the sling on after the game.
That's-
That was that made me move from 3 to 3.5. I don't know what he's going to be, but that is why I went over the number.
I'm going 3.5. We're all short. It's 4.5.
yeah. Like, so I remember like Drew Dinsick and Andy Molitor. I think George, you've had them on the pod before. They were
Friends of the
talking
pod.
about. Say that again.
I said friends of the pod.
Friends of the pod, exactly. Yeah. You back the Rams in games where you trust their offensive line to hold up against 4-man rushes or just hold up in general. If Myles Garrett plays, the Rams offensive line is going to suck. If he doesn't play, I think they still will suck a little bit because Obo Okoronkwo, very good. Zadarius Smith, very good. Shelby Harris, very good. Like they have guys. Schwartz knows how to scheme up blitzes as well. JOK had a really nice sack at the end of that game. So I don't trust the Rams offensive line at all. I also don't trust this Cleveland offense at all. But like, if you had to pick between trusting the Rams defense or the Cleveland offense, who would you pick at this point?
Neither. Gun to my head, bullet. Actually, no. I'll say no. You know what? Raheem Morris and the Rams defense has actually played pretty good ball the last month. I'll give him credit.
Okay.
I'd probably take Aaron Donald in that game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I am a little concerned. I think this will be a Browns home game, right? You've got Browns backers. Browns are one of like those sneaky teams that have just a lot of fans everywhere. They're all sad and they hate themselves, but there are a lot of them. And there's no worse place to be in December, November than Cleveland. So like making the pilgrimage out west is definitely a highlight on the calendar. So I see this as being a pretty heavy Cleveland crowd. It shouldn't be surprising. I'm very tempted. The Cleveland got banged up today, though. DTR took an absolute spear to the shoulder. That was not a good look. I'm going to stay away on this one, but I think you could make. I think the smart play here is to take Cleveland against the Rams.
One more injury. Denzel Ward didn't play in this game with a shoulder injury. I don't know if he'll be out, but when you go against Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, you probably want your best cover corner on the field.
Kupp got banged up as well.
Yeah.
What's the feeling on Ward? Like my sense was that there was a chance he could play this week.
I could not. I don't remember what the injury report looked like for him, but I mean, it was a shoulder injury, so I feel like he could possibly come back for this game. So, yeah.
Okay. Let's get to a good game. The San Francisco 49ers go to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. I'm very, very interested in what you guys made this. Brad, what'd you go with?
Pick them.
I went Niners -1.5.
You had the balls to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You had the balls to do it. I did not. I made this a pick 'em as well. And I actually thought I was like, oh, maybe I can make this, make the Niners favorite. I was like, nah, that's too crazy. I'm gonna make this a pick 'em, and ended up being a huge pansy because it is 1.5.
Wow.
The Philadelphia Eagles are underdogs in this game to the Niners. So this is basically the market saying that the Niners are 3.5 points better. I mean, what would you make the Eagles home field here? 2 at
2
least?
points. Yeah.
2, yeah.
So this is saying that the Niners are 3.5 points better than the Eagles on neutral field. That feels heavy to me. And I
Strong
call
agree.
the best
Yeah.
team in the NFL. I don't know.
But you're saying, yeah, the Niners best team in the NFL, but you think it's still heavy. The Lane Johnson thing, so it was a groin he got an MRI for like today and then didn't play.
Yeah.
I mean, it does matter a ton.
It matters
Yeah.
a ton.
Nick Bosa only lines up against the right tackle.
Right,
much.
right. Yeah. It's interesting too because like I'm gonna tease them. I'm just gonna take the risk that we get Lane Johnson back for the game. I think this pace is going to be wicked slow. We know Shanahan likes to slow the game down, limit possessions, and we've seen, depending on the matchup, Philly will either do the same or they'll speed some things up at times. I think today was kind of an example of the opposite, and game script kind of came into play a little bit as well. But I think it's going to be very slow. So it might be low scoring, but the opportunity, like the outcomes I see is a low 20s scoring type of game. And I just think over a touchdown, home dog teaser for the Eagles is just too good to pass up.
Yeah. The Lane Johnson thing is massive. Now, Lane Johnson has played through torn muscles and you name it, he's played through it. I think the question is, at 10-1, does he play through this here? I mean, if they lose this game, this opens up an opportunity for the Niners to get home field, right?
Yep.
And this matchup, so if they win this game, it becomes very, very hard for the Niners to get home field, right? And then really the only competition for the Eagles becomes the Lions and the Cowboys. But they play the Cowboys again, so they control their own destiny. So we think about Lane Johnson toughing it out in big games. This would certainly qualify. So my gut would say that Lane Johnson plays. Lane Johnson warmed up before the game, so he was out there moving around. It wasn't like he couldn't walk. So my hunch would be that he plays in this game. I think this is a good matchup. Not quite a Dallas Cowboys type matchup, but a good matchup for the Niners. They are going to be able to take advantage of the secondary. There is absolutely no doubt about it. They're going to be able to take advantage of the linebackers. And they're healthy on the offensive line. So we've talked about the Eagles and their defensive line, which has been good against the run, but not particularly great at getting pressure, which doesn't bode well against a healthy Niners offense. Niners also have extra 4 days of rest, and the Eagles played a very physical game against the Bills. So all of those things going in the Niners' favor. I can't bring myself to bet the Eagles, even though I think the spread is a little heavy.
Yeah, full 10-minute overtime, basically. The thing, too, here is the Cowboys could win on Thursday, be 9-3. And then Philly could, of course, think about, home field, 1 seed, all of that in the Niners matchup. But they'd also consider, all right, we play Dallas Sunday night after this game. They have an extra 3 days rest going into that game. And, the division is also, let's say we're 10-2 versus 9-3 going into that game. like the Lane Johnson thing is fascinating. You said he worked out before the game, so he's probably going to play in this matchup. But you could argue like just protect the division winner is more important potentially. I don't know. They finished the season with Seahawks, Giants, Cardinals, Giants, so they'll probably be fine. But
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah. So you're saying they could lose this game, but as long as they win one of their next two, they are in the drive. They're should feel pretty good for the 1 seed, and I think that's right because
yeah.
Niners and the Cowboys both have 3 losses.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really really interesting. How many points like Lane Johnson plays versus Lane Johnson doesn't play? What is that worth to you guys?
In this particular matchup, or like you're saying, just like against a team.
No,
Yeah, because like Nick Bosa, like Arjun said, is what, like 85%, 90% over the right tackle. Like,
this is Brad. When we talked about whoever those numbskulls were that claim to work at sports books and give the number of points that players were, right? Like Nick Chubb was like 3 points against spread, whatever it was. Like they're clearly that's not the case, but my contention there is that it's always matchup based, right? Like that's how you should approach these things. I think this is actually the perfect example of that, right? Like it's very hard to put a point spread on Lane Johnson in a opponent agnostic situation. I think in this situation, it feels very appropriate. I'm curious what you guys would do.
yeah, if you're playing the Commanders and Casey Toohill and whatever, it might not matter at all. All respect to Casey Toohill and other that was the first name that came up because respect. It's like a 1.5, I think, against Nick Bosa. Like I really do.
Yeah, I would. I wouldn't go 1.5. I would go 0.5, mainly because I think the Eagles can cover up spots on the offensive line better than other, just because they can allocate more help to the right side, knowing they have Mailata at left tackle and they have Kelsey at center, and those guys are so flexible in terms of with Mailata and Johnson. Like I think I've looked into this the past couple of years. They leave those tackles on islands the most of any team in the league. So in terms of that, like from a schematic perspective, yeah, they're probably going to have the right guard who is it Steen or is it Driscoll?
No, so it's Cam Jurgens playing right guard, and then Driscoll was right tackle today. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, that's what it was. Yeah. So yeah, they'll just shade more help towards Driscoll. And yeah, I don't think it'll be that much of a downgrade, and they can cover it up elsewhere. With that being said, I am betting the Niners here. Niners have I think revenge factor, more rest, and I just think this team is way more suited to beat the Eagles than the Eagles are to beat the Niners.
Real quick on the whole chip point, all that though, like no Goddard, I guess it goes against my own bet, but like no Goddard is an element of that as well, right? Like you don't have a guy that can be part of those formations to chip and then leak out and do different things. Like it's also not there. I'm keeping my bet, but I do see as we're poking holes in it, like why it's a Niners, skewed matchup in a lot of different ways.
Pending review, by the way, Jack Driscoll allowed 2 hurries on 39 pass plays. The Bills, I think, are a very different beast than the 49ers are. My initial reaction was somewhere in the 0.75 to 1. And I agree with you, Arjun, the mobility of Hurts definitely helps. They can do some different things with the run game and that thing. But then on the flip side, because they're so used to leaving those guys on an island, it changes what they've got to do, I think, rather significantly. And so that made me lean closer to 1, which is probably where I'd end up. Okay, Arjun is betting the Niners. I'm gonna join him. I'm joining him on the Niners. I'm doing this partially because I believe in Brock Purdy as the second coming of Tom Brady. But that's a story for another day. Kansas City and Green Bay.
Packers +7.
I went Packers +6.
I split you guys, and I went 6.5. And this one is Green Bay. Let's see. DraftKings has it Green Bay +7. FanDuel is plus 6.5, but juiced pretty heavily. Circa plus 6.5. Maker at 7. We'll call it 7. Brad, you nailed it. Arjun, you taking the pack?
Yep. Jordan Love is off the no bet list. He's been impressive the past 3 weeks, even if we do apply the Chargers and Lions defensive manual mental adjustment. He's looked good, and I have to give credit to him. I also don't think the Chiefs offense, obviously we should give credit, 31-3 run basically starting in the middle of the second quarter, but I'm mainly doing this. I think Jordan Love has looked good. It's mainly betting on the Packers offense to keep up with the Chiefs offense. And I do worry a little bit about Joe Barry's like super soft zone coverage defense, but I also think the Packers pass rush has come alive, and that can give Mahomes problems because he hasn't looked good against teams that can generate a pass rush consistently, just because teams are doubling Kelsey a lot more, and he doesn't really have that other reliable safety outlet. So I like Green Bay here catching 6 at home. I think I think it should be a close game, and hopefully Jordan Love puts up a better performance than what he did 2 years ago.
Brad, did you do anything with this?
No, I'm staying away, but I'm staying away.
I am very excited to take, and this should tell you because I was excited about the Commanders last week, but I'm very excited about the Packers. Kansas City today beat Aiden O'Connell. I want to stress this again. Aiden O'Connell, okay? They beat Aiden O'Connell and Antonio Pierce. This is a combo. If you can beat Aiden O'Connell and Antonio Pierce, you deserve a Super Bowl title. Despite all of that, I still remain very worried about the offense. Very worried about the offense. So I am going to Green Bay. Yeah.
Can we hang a banner for Antonio Pierce kicking it on 4th and 1 and missing it from 35 yards with one of the best kickers in the league? You just got to take the points when you're up. Well, I think it was 7-0 at the time. Like, you should never go for that 14-point lead against the best quarterback in the league. Like, you always gotta take the for sure 35-yard field goal instead of the offense had been moving the ball very well up to that point. So just gotta hang the banner there, I think.
Yes, you absolutely do. Yeah, and there was still like Rashee Rice dropped the pass today. Justin Watson made a couple of nice plays here and there. Travis Kelce did get downfield. Now, one of the times that Kelce got downfield, that was like a totally schemed play. The other time was a nice play down the field. So that they got some throws down the field. Again, the problem is not Patrick Mahomes. It is the crappiness of his receiving weapons. All right, Monday night, Cincinnati goes to Jacksonville to play the Jaguars. Brad?
Jags minus 8.5.
I did the same.
I added a point for every Joe Mixon rush that traveled less than 2 yards past the line of scrimmage. So I made this Jacksonville minus 10.5. And let's see. I'm way long. It is Jacksonville by 7.5. So, is the narrative here just that Jacksonville can't extend? Because, I am pro Jake Browning, I think, overall, but it was pretty embarrassing today.
Press Taylor. I think this spread is a Press Taylor induced spread. Yeah. He's pressed Taylor trying to come up with a good play. Is what he is.
Pressed to come up with a good play.
Yeah, that's what he is. Yeah. I thought of that joke 4 hours ago. It landed. I can't. I want to. I'll teaser leg him, but I'm not laying 7.5 with this offense. Like you said, they can't extend leads. Trevor Lawrence had 364 passing yards, and I remember one Calvin Ridley wide open crosser, and one other. I think a corner route to Christian Kirk, but I can't even remember how many downfield passes in that game against a Houston defense that's average. But yeah, anyway, teaser leg.
I don't know what I mean, this would be a teaser leg. I don't know what I can tease it with though, because like all the other teaser legs I'm betting. I guess I'd have to tease it with the Jets, but I I don't know if I want to do that. I'll just stay away. I'll just stay away for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a Jets teaser is interesting. That total is going to be in the mid 30s probably. That's a possibility. You also have the Titans that you could tease out to 8. Tease the Eagles out to 7.5. Tease Green Bay down to 1. Dallas, teasing it with Dallas down to 1.5, I think is interesting. That might be my my favorite one, but I'm going to stay away. The Jags continue to worry me. Yeah, yeah, I'm staying away. I got a lot of bets on the board, trying to come back here after a terrible week, so I'm staying away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
So
any actual analysis, like the Bengals defense is just bad. Like if there was a team that was going to do it, or an opponent that Jacksonville was going to find a way, attack the middle of the field, attack the intermediate area, that's been Cincinnati's kryptonite for the last 2 months. So anyway.
Yeah, actually, Cincinnati. The one thing that I will say here is that I'm definitely going to bet. Let's remember this for Wednesday or whenever props come out. But Cincinnati cannot cover tight ends. They cannot. Freiermuth resurrected from the dead today. We had like 120 yards. They gave up 160 to George Kittle. So this is an Evan Ingram game, if there ever was one. Yeah, Browning was really bad today. And like one of his he's going to finish with probably a sub 50 PFF grade. One of his completions was a turnover worthy completion. So yeah,
My favorite.
Those are the best ones. All right. That was our show. We'll be back on Wednesday evening. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We love you all. Peace out.